Alright, what's going on? This is Evan with Unified Turbulence, here today to do a quick little video about how to spend efficiently as a Terran and what your production should look like versus your income. So we're going to hop over into a game I've got going. This is a replay I did a little bit earlier. And we're going to pay a lot of attention here to the income versus the workers versus production facilities. So let's go ahead and get started. Just kind of cruising through here. So notice keeping the money low. Obviously that's really important. But what we're going to look at mainly is right about here when we start to hit 16 out of 16 workers. You'll notice as Terran, you're going to be at about 1,000 minerals per minute. And this isn't true for Protoss and Zerg, but because Terran has the wonderful mule, means this unit's worth about 3 regular SCVs per minute. So because Terran has SCVs that are stuck off the worker line, unlike Protoss, who just sends the probe, builds the building, and sends it straight back to the mineral line, they don't end up losing anything. Every minute that this SCV is away from the mineral line, building either factory, starport, barracks, whatever it is, means that you're losing up to 50 minerals per minute. So that's one thing to really keep on top of, is dropping these mules as soon as you have the energy to do it. So this build here is just going to be a 1-1-1 on one base. And this is just to go over and kind of show how your money should look on one base with this setup. So you'll notice this SCV over here is constantly building a supply depot, one after the other. Notice the money's still staying really low, and these are always active. It's another important thing to note. As Terran, you can't get back these production cycles. So any time that these are spent idle, it's gone. Protoss has the ability to chrono boost, so if they miss a production cycle, it's not a huge deal. They can just kind of jump back, chrono boost out the units that they missed. But every second that these aren't building is army units that you aren't going to get back. So you can see here 1,000 minerals, a little bit more because I've got 18 on the line plus the mules, means that you can spend your money really efficiently. So real quick, I want to kind of go over some statistics. The barracks can produce approximately 300 minerals per minute, and this is just kind of really generalized. There's nothing saying that it can't do more. Actually, it really can't do more than 300 minerals per minute. But what you're, thank you, day 9. What you're going to notice is there's going to be less production happening than you can actually be doing. And that's caused just by inefficiencies, having to split your concentration back and forth. Depending on the units that are being produced, out of all 3 main production facilities for Terran, you're looking at a range. So depending on the units coming out of the barracks, you're looking at about 300 minerals per minute, maybe less than that if you're going for marauders or ghosts, but 300 is just a good rule of thumb. You're looking at about 100 to 300 gas per minute. So that's another important thing to note, is that when you're in a game and you have 2 gases up and running, each one of these produces 150 gas per minute. So that means if you're going for a really gas heavy unit like the Ghost, you're going to be using all of your gas from one base just on that one barracks facility. But you're not going to get anywhere near using all your minerals. So this is another game. We're going to pull up the income tab again here. And let's go ahead and take a quick look through this and see what this is all about. So again, this is going to be a little bit different. This is a 2-1-1, 2 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. Okay. So you can see we're getting up towards that 1,000. We're running at about 150 with this one gas refinery taken. Second one's going to come up here. This will jump straight up to 300. Okay. Money's a little bit high. That's just because these aren't able to produce fully yet. So you can see there. But you're going to notice a problem with this build. So if you're trying to go 2-1-1 off of one base, you can see we're fully saturated. And there's that loss of minerals right there. So you notice it dropped down to 800 for a second. Let's actually back up and take a look. Okay, so where was it? So there it's dropping down a little bit. You notice we've got 2 SCVs not mining minerals. So this right here, this is making up for it and getting us up to that 800 mark that Zerg and Protoss are going to be at. But without this fully saturated mineral line plus these, you're not going to have quite the economy you could have. So just kind of running through this. We've got Starport coming down here in a second, as soon as we can actually afford it. But this is actually a good time to take a look. Our money is being spent well. We've got more and more supply depots coming down. And the supply depots, another interesting thing for you. Each one of these costs 100 minerals, right? So take a look here. Each supply depot is 100 minerals. That means one SCV building these can cost you 300 minerals per minute, roughly. Granted, it's 21 seconds, so you're looking at 63 seconds. So forgive the sloppy math, but we're just looking at real general ideas here. So we've got our 2 barracks producing. We've got a starport. And you'll notice that I've stopped producing SCVs, which when you're fully producing SCVs is going to cost you about 250 minerals per minute. So 12 seconds times 5 gets you 60 seconds. 50 times 5, 250. So you're looking at 250 minerals that I'm earning extra that I'm not spending getting SCVs. So that's why you'll see high-level players go for a certain SCV count or probe count, whatever it might be, and then just cut it off if they're going for an all-in build. But you'll notice I've got 3 buildings building, and I can't really afford to have this starport doing anything. And it's going to stay that way until I can actually build 2. But, again, money's too low. I can't afford to build out of 2 of my buildings here. So this is the importance here. This is lost time right here that I could be doing anything else to produce more army units. So it's really important to know and keep in mind of how much production facilities you have versus how many bases you're on and how many workers you have. So I'm actually a little bit high on workers here.
Mineral field
I overmade. It's not a huge deal, but the point still stands. You're not going to be able to afford getting all of these facilities running at the same time. So let's go ahead and jump into another game real quick. And this next game is going to be a 2-base 5-1-1 build. So it starts off your typical 1-1-1, 1 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. And then we're going to add on 2 additional factories as well as some upgrades. So this build is going to look a little bit different just because you're going to add on that extra base early on. So it's important to keep in mind when you're adding those buildings on, when your worker count's hitting the right point, all of that kind of stuff. So I'm going to fast forward through the first couple seconds. Okay, so we got our factory, gas coming down, constantly producing SCVs. Okay, gonna make a Reaper. So this is a Reaper, then a Marine. It's not that important for what we're looking at today. Let's go ahead and pull up the income tab, because that is what we're really interested in. Okay, so second base, about halfway done. We're at 22 workers. And we're coming along. Still keeping that money a little low. It's gonna pop up here just because you're not producing anything at this time. But you're about to spend 150 here and 100 here, plus another probably 50 here. So Tech Lab goes down, up to 26 workers now, constantly producing, and your money still stays low. So this is kind of what a two-base all-in would look like. We're gonna keep producing all the way up to full saturation over here. And then here in just a second, yep, little supply block. Okay, so here in just a second, you're gonna see we're at 35 workers. The money is gonna start getting a little high. Also, you don't want to get supply blocked.
You're supply blocked. We've all been. SCV ready.
But we've got workers coming out. Now we're at 37. So right about now, we're hitting that 2,000 minerals per minute mark. And that means that this is going to start floating, even with our production fully running. Okay, so we're still spending our money over here building these supply depots. And look at this. There it is, starting to really float. Okay, so we're going to add on our gas. That's going to take us all the way up to 600 minerals or gas per minute. And then we're also going to add on 2 more production facilities here in a second. So you can see building these supply depots really eats into your money, but that's good, because if you have to build supply depots, it means you're playing the game well. So we've got our 2 barracks coming down for our 511, constantly producing. You can see we're climbing up to that 600 gas per minute mark now that these are fully up and running. Fully saturated, 2,000 minerals a minute, and going along well. Now, again, you're going to start seeing a little bit of floating up here, but that's okay because we need to get our upgrades. And in this configuration, you know, if you're building cyclones, you're only building 200 gas a minute. Okay, so let's actually take a quick pause here. So if you're building cyclones, you're spending 200 out of your 600 gas per minute. If you're building tanks, you're going to be spending a little bit more at 250. But if you're earning 600 and you're only spending 250 of it, what are you going to do with that extra gas? Well, you're going to get your upgrades going. And that's the nice thing is if you're playing against Terran, you know, you're not going to want many Marauders. So these are just going to be producing Marines, which means you're only going to be able to spend about 300 minerals. And it's going to leave you all that gas to use over here. And you're going to be able to get your upgrades. So,
ready to blunder.
Powering along.
Gangway coming. Optics online.
Add-on complete.
Can see, can actually barely just afford all the upgrades there.
Add-on complete.
Up, ready to go.
Money's getting a little high. There we go. So you're not going to be able to perfectly spend. You could probably add on maybe 1 more barracks, go for a 411 to really fully utilize all that. But that's just because I started producing SCVs again.
Research complete. A mineral patch just
So
went kaput.
Ready for dust off.
On 2 bases, you're looking for about 5 production facilities if you're going for a bio build or bio tank, whatever you want to go for. So you've got your 3 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport, and that's going to give you enough production to spend all of your money and allow you to get your upgrades going. Now, if you wanted to go a little more macro focused, maybe cancel these, maybe go for a 3rd base. But the important thing to note is if you are fully utilizing all of your production facilities all the time, then you're going to spend your money efficiently. And that's the entire goal of StarCraft, is building units, spending that money to get an army that's better than the other player's army. So let's pop over real quick, take a look at one last replay. This is going to be a macro build. So in this, we're looking for that big economy. What's a fully maxed out economy look like? And as Terran,
so our game begins.
Thanks, Day 9. So for Terran, because you're looking at having 66-ish workers, that's your real goal to shoot for if you're going for a macro game. You're looking at about 3,000 minerals per minute and about 900 gas. So what does that mean? It means you're going to need to have quite a few production facilities. So that's where you'll see a lot of people have 5 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport. Gonna go ahead and jump into this, take a look at it. Gonna fast forward to about 4.5 minutes in, because that's when we're starting to make this. Actually, let's go to right here and take a look at some decisions we have to make. So this base, second base is coming up. Got fully saturated here. Only on 3 production facilities right now. So you'll see very quickly here as our economy builds here. Pull up the income tab. All of a sudden, we're going to start floating up pretty good. So that's when we need to add on our 3rd base. Okay. Continue producing, utilizing these to the best of our ability.
You are now the proud owner
Add
of a
on
new
gases
baby.
down here.
Build a depot, probably 2 since your supply part.
And since we're going to be going up to 4 gases, what we're going to need to do is have a way to spend that. And that's something you should be thinking about. You always want to have a plan. So why are you taking these gases? What do you need this gas for? Well, if you want to get your upgrades, you need to have your gas. Okay? Because as a bio-based army, you're not spending all that much money. It's what, 400 gas? And so you're looking at about 650 gas per minute. So technically you could fully utilize these if you're just building siege tanks and medevacs nonstop. But if you're taking a 3rd base and you're going to add on these gases, then you're going to go up to 900 extra gas. Great place to go is right into the upgrades. Okay.
Whoops.
So we're fully saturated down on our 2nd base now. Gases are fully saturated. So now, get our upgrades going and start adding our production on, because we're at 2,000 minerals per minute. Okay, this base is fully set up now. Transfer down your extra workers. And as soon as they arrive, we should get a nice little jump here.
Your command center's been spruced.
Okay. So again, have a plan ahead of time. Why do you want to take these gases this early? Well, because we added on our upgrades, and we still want to be able to get our higher level tech up. So we want to get our siege tanks, we want to get our medevacs, we're going to want to get our bio upgrades, stim and combat shield, and we're eventually going to want to go for 2-2. Okay, so we're looking at 175, 175 for each of these upgrades. So we're going to need to have those extra gases earlier on to really keep these upgrading and get a good advantage over your opponent. So let's go ahead and take a look. See a nice little jump here from the income. Okay, gases are finished. Get those saturated.
Ready for dust off.
There it
Add-on
is.
complete.
And you can see we've got enough money
Coming through.
A mineral
Just
patch just
barely.
went kaput.
to get all of our upgrades going.
This better be
Don't let me down now.
Ready
The
for
upgrades
dust
going.
off.
There it is. So
Upgrades done.
What's
Time to
up?
start the next.
SCV ready.
getting our upgrades along. Not gonna waste any time.
Ready for dust off.
Armed
And
and
you can
Ready
see
for dust off.
that on 3 fully saturated bases, well, not quite fully saturated because, again, this is about the time you're going to want to start taking a 4th if you're going for a real macro build, because you're starting to mine out in your main base. So keep everything, again, have a plan for what you want to do. If you're trying to end the game already, then maybe drop down some more production facilities, but know where you want to go with this. So you'll see we're starting to run low,
coming.
getting a
Mineral
little bit
field
high on the
depleted.
money, but we're constantly producing out of
Ready for
all of
dust
our
off.
buildings.
Go, go, go.
Okay,
Add-on complete.
adding on production, fully utilizing those
Research
buildings.
complete.
And we're
Hopefully
spending
it
the
wasn't
money
Neo
well.
steel frame.
You're gonna see the money start to float because I'm about to max out.
This better be
But
good.
that's the idea that I really want to
Research
get out.
complete.
is
Ready for dust off.
if you have
Armed and ready.
3 fully saturated bases, earning 3,000 minerals a minute and 1,000, well, 900 gas. It's a little inflated now because I think I'm oversaturated. But if you're fully utilizing these buildings and getting upgrades, let's not forget about those, you are going to be able to spend all of that money. You'll see games in the lower level metal leagues where, you know, people have 9 barracks, or they've got 5 barracks, 3 factories, 2 starports. There's no point in having all of that unless you're getting into some late game shenanigans where you have to completely change the units you're building. You know, you suddenly need to go all battle cruiser. There's no reason for you to ever have more production facilities than what you see here if you're going bio. Mech's a little bit different, but if you keep in mind that a factory producing just Hellions can produce 600 minerals a minute and you're on 1 base, you're utilizing all of that money just on your Hellions. Again, take a look at it, have a plan where you want to go, what you want to do. So that's pretty much the end of this video. Hope you found it entertaining, informational, whatever. Let me know what you thought. And until next time, I was Evan from Unified Turbulence, and we'll see you next time.